Hey YouTubers, how you doing today? My name's Brian and I'm with Modern Day Computers, and today I am doing a showcase of all my cartridge-based Nintendo games. This includes all my Nintendo, Super Nintendo, um, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, and 3DS games. I don't have any Game Boy Color games, so sorry. So let's just get through it real quick, and give you a little history and everything. So I have in my collection. This is for NES games. So my first one is the classic that came with every Nintendo system. Mostly is Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt is used the light gun, and unfortunately today the modern technology is incompatible, mainly because of what is needed on old TVs with flashing and stuff. So Nintendo has released an updated version for modern TVs, but it deals with the remote, and it's kind of cool, but it's still not the same as the original. But if you have an old TV, those are still can be found everywhere. Not everyone gets rid of, the old style TVs, the CRT TVs. Pick it up, get yourself a system and play it that way. So, my next one is Super Mario Brothers 2. This is the American version. There is a Super Mario Brothers 2 based out of Japan that was originally supposed to be Mario 2, but unfortunately someone in not Sega, Nintendo of America, one of the vice presidents, played it, found it to be, said it was too hard for people in America to play, so they took another game called Doki Doki Panic and adapted this Mario to it. So that's why we have the Mario 2, this version, and Japan has their different version. But if you have the All-Stars game on either Wii or Super Nintendo, the Japanese version is Mario Brothers 2. So let's see, I also have NES Play Action Football. This is a 4-player game, amazingly. So this is, yeah, it says right there. I guess I just never paid attention to it before. Interesting. But I can't remember if I don't think this is NFL teams or anything, because there's no license shield on it and stuff. So, but I think this came before Tecmo Bowl or Tecmo Super Bowl, which I've never played. I've seen it and I've just never played it before. And with the upcoming Nintendo anniversary console, the 30 games preloaded, I think Super Bowl is preloaded. So my next game is a very famous one that everybody knows of it, and that's Disney's Ducktales. Sorry if it gets blurry and stuff. It wants to. I think it's that. Interesting. I'm gonna take my glasses, my snake eye glasses. So we got Disney's Ducktales. There we go. Yep, it was the glasses. It face following. Fascinating. They have remastered this. Luckily, they did get the person who did the voice originally for Scrooge McDuck. He just, and talk about lucky, the remastered came out like at least 2 years ago. He died May of 2016. So, to say it's kind of lucky, yeah. But it's unfortunate. But he will be immortalized in these games. His voice will. My next 3 games. Well, I'll get through my last. And this one I bought for $20. used like a year ago. And what I think is kind of amazing, at $20, it's Dr. Mario in box. This is not, still sealed type thing, but here, I'll open it up. And down at the bottom is a piece of styrofoam to make up the space and stuff. It's kind of funny that they would actually do that rather than making the plastic cartridges, plastic cases that Sega did, which was really smart, and obviously Sega's concept caught on, if not other gaming companies, because now you got, everything comes in a plastic case, except for the digital versions. But, here's the cartridge, same as the other version, or same as the box. So, but I got it for $20, and I was like, yes, hell yeah, I am definitely getting this. And just a matter of keeping it intact and stuff, and comes with the instruction booklet. You ever notice that today's they never tell you how to insert it or play the game anymore? They're automatically assuming that you all know how to play games. Oh, danger, do not open unless you're ready to become a power animal. This is a registration form for Nintendo Power, and at the time, let's see, this would have been early 90s, so 2-year subscription for $30. At the time it was $42 Canadian. So that's kind of interesting that you get it for $30. Of course, I don't know if they still make the magazine today, and because mainly thanks to the internet, a lot of magazines got killed out because of the internet. And I have a poster, which the back side of it is another advertisement, and yes, that is Jack Nicholson for the original Batman and Mario Bros. 3. Advertisement for Nintendo Power, but on the front it's "Now you're playing with power," and it gives all the games and stuff like Mario Brothers 2, Mario 3, Mario 1, Kung Fu, Snake Rattle and Roll, very good game. Nintendo World Cup, NES Play Action Football, yay! Final Fantasy 1, and Donkey Kong, because the big thing at the time was to emulate the arcade as much as possible, because that's where people went. That's where you found all the good games and stuff. And these systems tried their best to make it as real as possible. So I also have 3 other games I've put in cases. These are Good Guy Gaming, I think. I bought them from Amazon for $10, 3 for $10. Just the plastic cases themselves. I figured, it might sound expensive, but I figured, I'll do it once. But I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and to some people this is a really great game. I thought it was great. To other people, like the angry video game nerd, he hates it with a passion, and I agree with him that nobody likes pink seaweed. But we managed to get through. I managed to get through and not have a ulcer because of all the anger like he had. Of course, for him, it's all part of the show. Then I have the updated next version of T2, Turtles 2, the arcade game, based off of the arcade game at the time, and it was really fun. That I'm glad that they put on Xbox Live Arcade, even if nobody else plays it. You can't it's hard to find people to play with online, but you know, it's based off of that. And then I have another Turtles game. This is not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I don't think they did it for Nintendo. But this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. This is essentially their answer to Mortal Kombat. And I wasn't allowed to have Mortal Kombat in the house at the time, you know, early 90s and stuff. But I could have this because there's no blood, there's no guts. You know, it's fighting, but it's like, eh. And, you know, they have voices like, you know, Shredder laughing. And it was kind of stupid, but, you know, 8-bit technology, what can you do? Yeah. So, that is my Nintendo collection. So now, I'll get through with my Super Nintendo. So, let's see here. And we'll go through, not in any particular order. UN Squadron, very good flight simulator, you know, shoot 'em up type game. Not exactly a flight simulator, but, you know, side-scrolling airplane game, fire lots of different weapons, blow them up. You know, it sounded great, it played great. It was a really great game. I rented it from Blockbuster a lot and had a good time. Starfox. This, as you can see, has the FX chip. This is a processor that allowed for additional graphics to be made. Nintendo figured that rather than updating the console like what Sony and Microsoft had done recently with their 4K versions, just add the functionality into the game itself, and that's what made it successful and stuff. I imagine that's why this has extra connectors on both sides to handle the processing power. I think. Well, let's see. There is one. I've never seen this silver connector. Let's see if you can see it on the right hand side, that little silver thing. I'm wondering I'm wondering if that's part of how it worked and stuff. I don't know. A game that really brought about an awesome franchise that Sega tried to, you know, poo-poo is Super Mario Kart. Even though it was two-player gaming, you know, it became really popular, and you know, you get two people together, and boy, would there be fun and stuff. Next, I got a really good series that has a really cool history, and that is the Mortal Kombat. Now, a little history of that. Mortal Kombat, as you know, is a fighting game. It has blood, it has guts, it has gore, it has killer fatality moves, finishing moves and stuff. Nintendo did not. Nintendo ruled the roost, and they did not want to be seen as a bad company, you know, that sold, you know, these bad games to kids. So they took all the blood out and replaced all the finishing moves with stupid ones, as, you know, like, instead of, like, the most famous one that I know of is Sub-Zero. In the original, he grabs your head, rips it off with the backbone still dangling, which it's kind of, I would imagine, kind of physically impossible. But as compared to the Sega Genesis version, which by default did not have blood, you put in in the Sega Genesis version, you type in A B A C A B B, and it would enable the blood. Oops. And you can go on from there. And they made a ton of money. That helped sell the Genesis system, and Nintendo saw it as a threat. So, come the next iteration of Mortal Kombat 2, they put in all the blood, guts, and gore that the game had, and they were able to climb back on top. So, yeah. I wish that they would remake this to, give the blood and guts and stuff. But, this is, 20 some years old, so that's kind of creepy to me. Mortal Kombat 3, which is pretty much, the same thing, only a lot better graphics and stuff, and new characters and new finishing moves, and then you have Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. This was really good because it basically combined all the games, all 3 generations of Mortal Kombat games into one. It was really decent. Okay, so now we got one game that was a launch title. That is F-Zero. Supposed to simulate F1 racing, Formula 1 racing type thing, set in the long future, so, they hovercraft and type stuff. Donkey Kong Country, produced very well. The graphics on that are really, really, really awesome, and very well produced and stuff. And so we have the most famous Super Mario World. This is what originally came out with the Super Nintendo control decks, at least for most of them. So, I wanted to play it. I got kind of jealous that they put Yoshi in and stuff, and it was better graphics, because I wasn't allowed to have it. My parents never bought me another console for ever since. They don't see the value in video games and stuff. I did. So eventually I bought my own Super Nintendo. But before then, they came out with Super Mario All-Stars, which was an updated version of updated version of Mario 1, 2, and 3, and Lost Levels, which was actually Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan. But like I said, Mario 2 in Japan was considered too hard for Americans. That I kind of find insulting. But it was an American who said it was too hard for us. Yeah. But eventually they made a new system, new bundle with the Super Nintendo, and they combined them both together. So this is the game that I originally got when I bought my Super Nintendo finally, and that basically, if you've played All Stars by itself, they put Super Mario World in the same menu type, so it got kind of cool. And then a few years later, I sold my Super Nintendo to a game store called Funko Land, and which later got bought out by GameStop. And I get like $90 out of the console, several games, my Super Scope, and a bunch of other stuff. And eventually, a few years later, like 4 years later, I had a hankering to play Mario game, so I bought it back. Bought a used one again. I'm sorry, I'm getting hiccups. Bought it back again, and I've chose not to sell it ever again because I like these games. So I have a black cartridge of Killer Instinct. This was Rare's attempt, I guess, at Mortal Kombat as well, because Mortal Kombat, they were popular and stuff. So, this was a really fun game to play on the Super Nintendo. You get 2-player and you just beat the snot out of each other. And the last 5 games I have are all of the Super Scope 6 series. Now, for those of you who may not know, if you've heard of the light gun for Nintendo, Super Nintendo had an add-on called the Super Scope 6. And, this is a Nintendo Super Scope. And you held it like a bazooka. You have a eyepiece, to aim with, and so it'll be on either side. So for people that are left-handed, right-handed, it took 6 AA batteries in the back here. Had an off switch, which was really nice. So you turn it on or turn it to turbo. A select button, fire button, and a cursor button right here. Yeah, that button, so you can be able to pick your menus and stuff. And it's sold for the starting price is $60, which I don't know what would be considered. I'm going to say $150 today. I don't know. I can't imagine that in 20 years inflation has gone up that much. Maybe $100. But they had several games for it, and one of them was what came with it, Super Scope 6. I bought this from eBay, and it came with 4 other, including this, 4 other games. Super Scope 6 was, mainly just to get you into the whole franchise of that. That way you can start trying out the other stuff. Have one that I don't remember last time I ever played this, but it's Bazooka Blitzkrieg, and it looks like a robot type game. I have to hook it up sometime whenever I get my TV working again. And then Yoshi's Safari, which I guess it's a shoot 'em up and you're on Yoshi or something. I remember playing it once. I can't really remember what it was all about. Then we have Metal Combat, not Mortal Kombat, but Metal Combat: Falcon's Revenge. Again, it's shooting at robots and stuff and all that stuff. And the most famous one, especially it's the only one that I saw that came out on commercials, and that's Battle Clash. And this is really fun too. I consider Metal Combat and Battle Clash almost the same stuff. So, it's a fun game. And because I have the Super Scope, I have chosen not to get rid of my old 32-inch TV, and I don't intend to, because mainly I want to play some of these games. Because if you don't have it, it truly is obsolete. And so that's all of my Super Nintendo games. And let's see here. Then the next generation after that was Nintendo 64. And for me personally, I've only had this system for about a year and a half. I bought it used, but I had played it before. I really loved it, and was really excited when they put Nintendo 64 on, that you can download Nintendo 64 games onto the Wii and stuff, and so I got Mario 64 and stuff on there, so I get my Mario fix. But now that I have the system, I can also play the original Super Mario 64 with the controller, because that makes the whole experience fun and stuff. And I only have 7, so I have Mario Kart 64, and let's see, good racing game is Extreme G. Very fast paced, very futuristic looking. Another good racing game is Cruisin USA. Not as good as what compared to what the arcade was, mainly because of the hardware limitations of the 64 console, but it was decent. I have Cruisin World, and I bought this used, so you see the word boots on the side, and I've been trying to get that out with a erasable marker, and it's a lot better than it was before. So, and then I have Turok Dinosaur Hunter, a good shoot 'em up game that you put in the right cheat code and you get unlimited ammo, and you can fire a nuclear bomb that kills everything in sight. And then my only sports game, Blitz 2000, NFL Blitz. NFL Blitz is really awesome. It's a real shame that Electronic Arts got the Monopoly exclusive with the NFL later on in like 2000 because because of the money, and all the other games couldn't be like that. So Blitz had the league, but it couldn't be NFL teams because the EA had the exclusive, and Madden games suffered for it because why do hard work when you don't have to if you're the only one making NFL games? I think they've improved their stance now because the consumers really did fight back. So next cartridge is, well, let's see. Gotta go. Now that was console based. Now this is mobile based in a way, portable gaming. So we have Nintendo Game Boy, and I have 14 games, and yes, I still have my original Game Boy. I replaced the screen here and gave it a new battery case in recent years. It's amazing that you can find all this stuff. Oh yeah, I also have for Nintendo Tecmo Baseball. I just don't have the game around. It's in a box somewhere. But I also have the Game Genie for Game Boy. Of course, I've written the codes on and off, code screen and Galoob on there because they rubbed off long ago. So we'll start from the beginning, and this is the original game that made the Game Boy really popular, and that's Tetris. Good game from Russia, of all places. That's the amazing thing. A lot of people would never consider the Soviet Union at the time to be a place where a game basically where you build walls, because during that time it was the Berlin Wall. Well, you make a game out of building walls, and that was fun. In real life, no. And then another launch title, and that was Super Mario Land. Let's see if I can. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, Super Mario Land. I wish it would stop. Super Mario Land, it was totally different from what they had before. As for gameplay, you didn't play against Bowser. You played against all these others. You didn't save Peach or Princess Toadstool. You saved Daisy, which I think is her sister. And it had a really awesome soundtrack, and flying around in a plane, and it was fairly successful. Because then they came out with Super Mario Brothers 2, 6 golden coins, and that was big thing about that is the introduction of Wario, and eventually Wario got his game in Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. And then I have Star Wars Episode 4, of course, by during this time, there was only 3 movies when this was produced. And then I have a good racing game, and that is F1 Race. And the cool thing about that is that it came with a 4-player adapter, so 4 Game Boys could be hooked up and played together. And graphics, it was okay, but you still raced against each other, so that was kind of cool. Kirby's Dreamland. This is the introduction of Kirby, that we all come to know and love. And as you notice, he is white in this one, to account for, that he's white in the game, because it's all green and black. So, and then they came out with a newer version. Of course, he's getting a little pinker. So this is Kirby's Pinball Land. Very fun game. It's based off of the Kirby's Dreamland, crew and bad guys and everything. And let's see, I just lost my place. And then because I love this game, I have Dr. Mario, so I have it for Game Boy and Nintendo. And I do have it digitally on my 3DS. So, I like having the physical version, but I don't mind having the digital version. That way I don't have to, drag these out and, put them into the system if I don't have to. Choplifter 2, very good helicopter game. Shoot down bad guys and rescue hostages and stuff. Very good space game is Star Trek Next Generation. This is also found on the regular Nintendo as well, and it's based off of the TV show. So, of course, this was up until 91, so they did have the Borg in it, though not as much, but it was okay. Good space simulator. Of course, having to get into orbit was kind of weird. So here's T2, the arcade game. This is based off of the Terminator 2 shooting game found in arcades at the time. I wouldn't be surprised if that game is still around. It is very fun. You start off at the battleground of 2019, so in 3 years from now, it's supposed to be Los Angeles after a nuclear bomb that happened in 1997, and here I am, 2016. So, let's see, my final 3 is all a combination, and so a few years ago, I decided to invest in Mortal Kombat for the Game Boy. I had originally... Would you believe that I was not allowed to have this version for the Game Boy? Because my parents, they didn't think that. They figured, oh, it's going to be blood and gory. No, it wasn't. It was that way on Mortal Kombat 2, but I never got into that as much. And this one has a faster gameplay. It has blood. It has the fatalities. The only thing that sucks is that it doesn't have all the characters that's available like in the Super Nintendo version of arcade because of memory constriction. It had like 9 compared to, what is it, like 12 or something, 12, 15. And my last one is the combination of the two. I saw this for sale at my used game shop, and I figured, oh, why not just get Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 combined together? So, and it does work, and I'm surprised that, they were able to combine all the stuff together between the two systems and combine it into one cartridge. So that's my Game Boy collection. Fix this as best as I can. Okay. And I love this case. This is, I wish it was a giant Game Boy. You got a 4-inch screen, Don't we have those? Oh yeah, they're called smartphones. And it's only been, what, 5 days since Nintendo announced that Mario games, well, at least a Mario game is going to come onto the new iPhone, at least iPhone platform. Okay, so we got Game Boy, and of course that evolved into Game Boy Color, which I never bought into. Just never had the interest, got it into all the other stuff and everything, but eventually I bought the that led into the Game Boy Advance and the Advance SP, which was the clamshell. And let me just show you that for historical reference, because for all you people watching in the future, hello from 2016. This is the Game Boy Advance SP. This is the cobalt blue version. So if I turn it on there, and so if I'll just do it again. Yeah. And you can turn the brightness on and off, center button and stuff. This was cool because it played Game Boy Advance, well, go figure, but it also played Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So it was, that's where it really piqued my interest, because it's multi-platform, and I like that about some of the when companies do that. But as for my huge advanced system collection, and we'll just show you. This is Super Mario Advance. This is based off of the game, and here is the 32-bit version of Super Mario Bros. 2 American version. And what makes it unique on this is that they added voices, they added more sound effects, better graphics and stuff and everything. Then they Super Mario Advance 2, and that was Super Mario World, and they enabled the ability to play as Luigi without having to get a second controller. You can actually switch back and forth. Super Mario Advance 3, which was Super Mario World 2, involving Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, I never got into, really wasn't interested in that. But I did get Mario Advance 4, and that was Super Mario Bros. 3. And they made a whole lot more advances than that. Go figure, it's more Super Mario Advance. But one other thing. Oh yeah, while I was talking about Game Boy, I also do have a Game Boy Pocket, and this is cobalt blue too. So I guess I like blue. Blue is always my favorite color. But one of the things is that they made an add-on, and that's called the e-reader. And now this is a kind of barcode credit card swiping thing, and they sold a bunch of cards like this, Super Mario, that gave you power-ups and access to other levels. So, Parabita Challenge, use the Parabeetles as stepping stones to cross the vast sky. You swipe that across, and you see this gray stripe here. That is essentially a QR code that the reader will access. And you had to have 2 Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, to do that. It was so stupid. I guess they were hoping that people would buy more, but this is essentially a flop. I bought this used, so and you get power-ups too and stuff. And I have at least 5 of them that allows you to play Donkey Kong. So, and I can use this because the GameCube, which I will do another video for, came out with Game Boy Player, and this is totally different from the Super Game Boy that came out for Super Nintendo, in that it was compatible with the previous generations, advance all the way back to regular Game Boy, and you could hook up the cable to it, so this would work just as well. So I was able to access all the information and stuff. But for a lot of people, it got expensive, and so this device is considered a total flop. So, but now it's become a collector's item. So, Super Mario Bros. 3, and then I have Donkey Kong Country. This is basically an updated version of the Super Nintendo game, and it, a lot more better graphics and stuff, and better controls. Though, whereas you are limited to a 2-button configuration compared to a 4-button, actually 6-button, 4-button, because it has the shoulder buttons as well. But it was really fun, and of course I keep them now in this because I have my DS, Nintendo DS Lite, in here, and since they didn't have any cases, it's the only place I can put them. Okay, so we got Advance, and let's go to a much unknown system at the time that was only around for a year before it failed. That is the Nintendo Virtual Boy. So, you look at it like this. You have a stand. It's on the table, and basically it's totally dark. Your eyes are all blocked off, so they do dilate. And because when you pull away, it's like, oh my god. So the issue is that the only colors are black and red, and it was good at projecting 3D images, but it wasn't a good thing to do, like, for 2-player to watch. Nobody else could watch you play. It did have the ability to link up, but not everyone bought this. I bought this for $30 from new from Toys R Us. But I did buy 3 games. Well, actually 2 games, and one came with it. And that's Mario Tennis. This came with all the Virtual Boys, and it's a precursor to Wii Tennis. And it was fun, though you did have to use a controller, and of course the controller looked like this. A mix between the GameCube and Nintendo 64 controller, in a way. More closely to the GameCube controller. But, it's a fun system, and I was lucky to find that Hyperkin, who makes retro consoles, they sell a stand that you can clip on. This cost me $30, but this joint right here on the original broke, so I wanted to play it. And cool thing is that it takes the same power supply as what the Super Nintendo took. My other game I have is Vertical Force, and this is a top-down, left, sides, up-scrolling flight combat space combat type game. And I do have another game. It's called Red Alarm. It's space combat, only you're flying behind them, and it's not as graphically intense as what Vertical Force is. But when I first tried it out, I got hooked on it. So I have to find it sometime. So we got the Virtual Boy. We already went through the Game Boy. So now we go to the DS, dual screen system. This came after the Game Boy Advance and stuff. And the DS Lite and the original DS were cool enough to be backwards compatible with advanced games, though it wouldn't play any other type of game. Okay, so we have here Mario Kart DS, and these are the same size as what 3DS games are. If you have it, these are still pretty prevalent, so chances are you've seen these. But as for those who are watching from well into the future, years, hopefully, it's 2016 now, maybe you're watching 10, 15 years in the future, leave a comment below. I'd love to, I wish for time travel to find out what happens in 15, 20 years. So, so this is Mario Kart DS, a good racing game. I have new Super Mario Brothers, which is kind of update to original Mario Brothers, only new styles. Super Mushroom, you can walk right through stuff. Super Mario 64 DS, a very highly updated game. Same style gameplay, only you can play as Wario, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, rather than you're just Mario in the original 64 game. A game that always, for me, growing up in the 90s, is always weird, and that's Sonic Classic Collection. To find this, even though this Sonic the Hedgehog was released on Game Boy Advance, which from what I read really sucked because it was really, really slow, the updated version of this is just as fast as we find in Genesis, and you get all the 4 of these games, Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. And what makes this so fascinating to me is that you see Nintendo, and you see Sega, and you see Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog is now on a Nintendo device, thanks to the failure that was the Dreamcast, which just turned 17 years old 2 days ago. So for those in the future, do Dreamcasts even exist? Did Sega ever bring out ability to play Dreamcast games without the discs? I don't know, because they haven't done it yet. Brain Age. This is a mind training game that makes you try to make you think faster. They got another one, Brain Age 2. And then my favorite of all the games, and that's Clubhouse games. And one of my favorites is Mahjong, and that's the Chinese matching game. And I really enjoy that. So if you ever find it and you got a DS or 3DS, because it's compatible on the 3DS or new 3DS as well, go for it. You won't be disappointed. Of course, the graphics may not be as great, but it's still playable. So after the DS came the 3DS, and the 3DS, if you think about it, that is what, even though the Virtual Boy was a commercial failure, the concept just was ahead of its time, and now we have the 3DS, which has been proven to be very successful. They have mastered the technology of glasses-free 3D screens and stuff, and so they've come out with several games, a lot of games. I only have 7 of them, and let's go through all the Mario ones, because you gotta always start with Mario on Nintendo. So I have Mario Kart 7, so 3D playing on that. Super Mario 3D Land. This is not based on the original, because the original did not have Koopa Troopas in it or Bowser, and this has Bowser in it. Mario Land on Game Boy, you hit what looks to be a turtle, and you have to get away because the shell explodes. New Super Mario Brothers 2, successor to Mario Brothers 1, and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS, and this is usable with the, I believe it's usable with the amiibo, the little characters, because the new 3DS system has the NFC reader built in. And then I have Kirby Planet Robobot. To be honest, I have not opened this yet. I had bought this a few months ago, and just never had the time to, bust into it and start playing it. Because I was more interested in the amiibo that came with it, and just decided to have fun with that. And my last 2 games are Lego Lord of the Rings and Lego Harry Potter years 5 through 7. And these 2 games were given to me by my friend in Australia, Brad of Tech Webcast, very good, popular Australian podcast, techwebcast.info, so shout out to him. And he bought me these for Christmas a couple years ago, so thank you for that. I haven't beaten them yet. I'd really like to get involved. I just get caught up in all this other stuff. I mean, go figure. I'm doing this video right now, so it's preventing me. Let's see. Do I have anything else? Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. That's the 3 consoles. Game Boy. No Game Boy Color. Game Boy Advance. Or Game Boy Advance. DS. And 3DS. That's all the cartridge-based games that I have. So, that's it. I'll do another video on the disc-based games, optical games and stuff. So GameCube, Wii U type thing, and then do Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation's 1, 2. No, I already did PlayStation 1. That was my first video. PlayStation 2, 3, and 4, and yeah, that's all that's current generation. So PlayStation 4, I did not buy the 4K version. I don't have a 4K TV. Same thing with my Xbox One. So for you all in the future, 4K is now, the high technology. So yeah, laugh all you want to us. To me, 1080p is good enough. So if you come find me, I'll be an old man and stuff. So if you see my videos and laugh along, but you have to be from the 15 years in the future, and I'll remember that. At least I'll try. So other than that, because I'm blabbering on, I do that. I keep blabbering on, and oh, look at that, I'm doing it again. Sorry. Yeah, that's all I got. So I want to thank you for watching, and even though this has gone for 55 minutes, sorry for blabbering. I'm doing it again. Stay tuned for my other videos, and I got a lot more. I got movies, I got TV shows to show you on DVD. For those of you in the future that may have heard of DVDs, from ancient history, digital video discs or digital versatile discs, depending on how you look at it. Blu-rays, HD DVDs, which you probably never heard of, and CDs based games, because I'm going to assume that 15 years in the future, disc-based games, like Super Mario Maker for the Wii U, don't exist anymore. So, yeah, so I'm going to cut it here. So thank you for watching, and have fun and geek out, everybody. I'll see you later.